Welcome back, Focus Learners. If you've ever felt that sudden spike of panic when you're trying to figure out transit in a completely unfamiliar place, well, this explainer on Lecture 4, Asking About Schedules, is absolutely for you. Today, we're framing our learning as the start of a literal travel journey. We're going to take the raw, dry data of timetables and transform it into the very language of adventure. Okay, let's dive into this.
Here's a quick roadmap for today's explainer. First up, we'll tackle the vocabulary of travel. Second, reading the timetable. Third, asking the right questions. And number 4, your homework assignment.
All right, starting us off, Section 1, the vocabulary of travel.
Now, before we can even begin to parse complex schedules or ask locals for help, we need to isolate the absolute core concepts of transit. Every journey, no matter how wild or complicated, boils down to these two fundamental milestones: departure, arrival. These are literally the yin and yang of travel, right? Departure is that exact moment you leave, and arrival is the moment you finally reach your destination. You simply can't have one without the other. They are the opposing anchors of every single schedule we're ever going to look at. So cement these two concepts in your mind right now, because every grammatical rule we cover today serves either a departure or an arrival.
Moving right along to Section 2, Reading the Timetable. Now that we've got our core anchors established, welcome to the station and the airport. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can visually connect the transport method to its corresponding action and time. Just look at how it breaks down. For the train, the action is leaves and the time is 2:45. For the flight, the action is arrives and the time is 5 o'clock. This grid right here, this is the real-world blueprint for the sentences we're about to build.
Let's zoom in and break down the specific grammar of that first statement. Leaves at. This is your go-to grammatical phrasing for stating a departure time. Notice how it maps perfectly back to our schedule data. The train leaves at 2:45. The train leaves at 2:45. Saying it with that rhythmic repetition is exactly how you internalize the structure. The phrase leaves at is basically the glue that permanently binds the train to its 2:45 schedule.
Let's move to and see how this builds when we hit our destination. Arrives at. We're taking the exact same structural logic from our train departure and applying it to our flight landing. This is the phrasing used to state an arrival time. Look at how it maps. The flight arrives at 5. It's a perfect logical flow. You depart using leaves at, and you finish the journey using arrives at. The structure just remains beautifully consistent.
Which brings us to Section 3, asking the right questions.
So, we know the schedule, and we know how to state the facts. But what happens when the board is blank? We're transitioning right now from simply knowing the schedule to the active problem-solving phase. Honestly, this is the most crucial part of travel, needing to find out information when you just don't have it. So, ask yourself, what time does the train leave? Did you answer it mentally? It's 2:45. This brilliantly illustrates exactly how we flip a known statement into an inquiry. We took the fact the train leaves at 2:45 and we essentially reverse engineered it to find the missing time. What time does becomes our master key for unlocking any schedule. What time does the train leave?
Let's keep that momentum going. What time does the flight arrive? Boom, 5 o'clock. Do you feel that rapid-fire call-and-response rhythm? By constantly practicing what time does the train leave and what time does the flight arrive, you're completely solidifying these grammar mechanics. You're literally training your brain to instantly deploy the phrase, what time does, the very second you need schedule information in the real world.
And finally, we've arrived at Section 4, your homework assignment.
You've done a fantastic job navigating these timetables with me today. Now, we got to bridge the gap to active learning. Here is your single actionable task for this explainer. Make 5 timetable questions. That's it, just 5 sentences. So the crucial point is that while this sounds super simple, it's actually incredibly powerful. Taking the structures we just learned, like what time does the train leave, and writing 5 of your own, forces your brain to take ownership of the grammar. You're no longer just observing the language, you are actively building it.
As we wrap things up today, I want you to consider this. How many borders will you cross with just 5 simple questions? Seriously, think about that for a second. Mastering these incredibly basic foundational schedule inquiries literally unlocks the entire globe for you. Whether it's a train departing at 2:45 or a flight arriving at 5 o'clock, you now have the tools to navigate the whole shebang. So, dive into that homework assignment, embrace the journey, and I will see you in the next explainer.